Hello guys, what is up? Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how I make my videos in Planet Coaster. So this is going to be a full tutorial from how I record them to how I edit them and so on. So the first thing you're going to need is OBS. You're going to need this to record your actual gameplay. And then you're also going to need CapCut. You're going to need this to edit your video. Both of these are free programs for your computer. You can just go Google OBS, Google CapCut, and download both of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be in Planet Coaster, and I'm going to have my coaster ready. So the way it would look like is look something like this. It's going to have ride status closed. You can see I haven't even placed an entrance. You don't need to do any of that to get the POV. I'd actually recommend it that you have it closed. So that way there's no riders on it for your POV. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here. I'm going to click start recording. Then I'm going to click Alt. I'm going to hold down Alt and press Tab. I'm going to go to Planet Coaster. And I'm going to click Test. Then I'm going to go down here and click Ride Camera. And then I'm going to click Seed. Now, if you're on Planet Coaster 2, this may look a little different for you. But this is what it looks like on Planet Coaster 1. I think the UI is generally similar between the two of them, but Planet Coaster 2 it might be slightly different. So basically what you're going to do is you're just going to you're not going to touch the mouse or anything, you're going to let this run one full cycle without doing anything. Now, if I was actually trying to record the video, which I've recorded a second video that we're going to use for editing purposes, but if we're trying to actually record the video here, the final video, I will just leave this and let it run for a full cycle, but I will speed this up, so that way we don't have to sit through this all. After the first cycle, what I'll do is I'll click Interest, and then I'll go to Orbit, and I'll hold middle click on the mouse, which is your scroll wheel. I'll hold down on that, and then you can drag your camera around until you get into a place that you think, okay, I like this. This is the camera angle that I'm going to use for my off-ride POV. Then I'll just let that run another full cycle on this camera angle. Now again, I have recorded a demo POV that we're going to edit later, so we don't actually need to sit through this. But what you would do is you would let this run another full cycle, and then once it got back to the station, you could go back to OBS and click stop recording. Now, I'm not actually going to click stop recording because that would end the video right now. So, next I'm going to go into CapCut and I'm going to click create project. Now it's going to load the interface and go click import. Now, you're going to go to wherever you save your OBS captures to. You can see here I've titled the one we're going to work on demo. So I'm going to go to demo. Now, it's important that you don't close Planet Coaster yet, but what I do recommend is after turning off the ride status, turning it to closed, just so that way it isn't eating up as much resources from your computer. And then you're going to go to testing, or you're going to click results. We're going to come back to this later. So I'm going to Alt-Tab out of here. We're going to drag this material into CapCut, which would be your video in this case, from that you recorded. I like to zoom in a little bit. Now, first thing we're going to do, the absolute first thing, is we're going to cut until about like here, where all the UI disappears from the game. So right about here, you can just drag this bar over, and then you left click here, and just drag it up to that bar. And now if you see we go back, it'll just start like that. Now another thing I like to do is put the title of the video in here. So I'll click add text, default text. All I'll do is I'll go preset style and just click this so it's a little easier to see. I'm just gonna write demo wooden coaster. And at the end, if you want, you can also play around with the font styles and stuff. I don't usually do that. I just use the default font. And this you want to go for like maybe you don't want it to go for too long, but just until you start heading up that lift hill. Just that way, like right about here is when I'd stop it. Again, you can just drag that back to where the bar is, and then it will be the perfect length. So you're gonna go to where this bar ends, and now I'm actually gonna pull up one of my videos here, just for a little example. Go to youtube.com, go to view my channel, and I'll just go to my most recent coaster concept video. So you can see there's that title card we talked about. Doesn't stay for too long. And then we got this stats page. I'm going to show you what I do in my description. What we're going to do is we're going to drag down until it says forces. We're going to click Control C, and we're going to go back into CapCut, and we're just going to create a new default text. We're going to set font size 10, and we're going to put preset style here, and then I'm going to delete default text. I'm going to put in that stats page. Now this is where you're going to want to go back into Planet Coaster, and this is where this is going to come in handy, because this is where you're going to put in all these stats. So you can see we're going to go duration, or ride time here. It said 96 seconds, so I'm going to go 96. Then we're going to go back, and basically we're just going to rinse and repeat this process until we have all of our stuff copied over. When you're making it, just remember how steep the drop is. So see, I can see it's 81. So now I know that my drop is 81 degrees. So anyways, now that you've got these stats copied down, we can click off here. And generally I like to show this until we're about like halfway up the lift hill. Maybe even a little less. This is a very short lift hill. If anyone actually cares, they can always pause. Anyways, I'm gonna hit Control C and Control V that, just so that way we get a similar, it's the same amount of time. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to that YouTube description. We're just go to forces now, and we're gonna Control C that. I'm gonna delete this and Control V, and now you can just again put in whatever information is from your coaster. Okay, so basically now once you're done this, you can be pretty much done with the actual Planet Coaster. So now you can just Alt F4, quit Planet Coaster. You might actually want to save, but since this is literally just a coaster I built in a couple minutes for a demo, we can just Alt F4 out of here, because I don't actually care if it saves or not. And also, Planet Coaster often auto-saves. So now, we're done in Planet Coaster. After here, for the final few seconds, we can just do another default text. We can go here, click this preset style. Feel free to use any one of those. I just like to put enjoy! Exclamation mark. And for the rest of the actual coaster running, you pretty much don't have to do anything until the POV is over. So, I'm going to go back to once it hits the final brakes. So about back here maybe. I'm going to click split. You can also use the Control B shortcut. And then I'm going to go until just before we do our second cycle. And I'm going to split again. And then we can just delete this middle stuff here. So that way, it just gets right back into it. So then we're going to drag our little arrow here in between the two clips. We're going to go to transitions. And the one I like to use is blur. So you can just click plus on blur. And then it'll look like this. It'll just transition into the next thing. And then I'll also add some text. I'll say, just put something like, now it's time for the off-ride POV. I'm just going to put off-ride POV. Again, if you want, you can add something with a little more character to it. a little more personality. And you're just going to want to make that for a couple seconds, for maybe about until here, until it starts going up the lift hill. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click another split. Actually, sometimes I kind of have to go a little ahead. It won't split right after the text. But then you can split there and then drag the text a little longer. Then I'm just going to go until we're about at the top of the lift hill. Then I'm going to click another split. And then what we're going to go here is you're going to go in here. You're going to click on this. It will be at video on default. But then you're going to go speed. And you're just going to speed up to 5 times speed. Now, I haven't finished loading this part of the video. So often in here it won't go through. So you can see it kind of just is laggy. And oh hey, we're at the top of the lift hill. But trust, in the final video, once you export it, it will look fine. You just kind of have to trust the process. And again, you can just let this go through until about the end, once it hits the final breaks. So fine once it hits the final breaks. And then once you want the video to end, you can just make a little split and then just delete the excess. You delete video clips using backspace. And once it hits the final breaks, I'll do another default text. And then I'll go back to preset style, click the one I usually use, and then I'll say, thanks for watching. Now just drag that until the very end. Again, I'll show this final video result at the end of this video. But that's pretty much it. After this, you are pretty much done. And then you can just hit export. And you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name this Demo Finished POV. And then depending on your hardware, it should export relatively quickly. Now another thing I'm going to walk you through is I'm going to go to Canva, and I'm going to show you how to make a thumbnail. So what you're going to do once you're in here is you're just going to go to Create, and you're going to search YouTube, and then it should show YouTube thumbnail right there. You can close this now. And now, what I like to do is once this is done exporting, you can just make a little screenshot out of the video. So I'll show you how to do that once this is done exporting. Alright, so now you can see our video is done exporting. So now it's saved to your desktop, wherever you've put the save location as. But now I'm just going to click cancel. And then I'm going to find, often I like to do an off-ride point that I think will look good in a thumbnail. So you can see about here, I think looks good. Maybe do about there. And what I'll do is just hit these 3 bars up here. I'll click export still frames. This won't actually send more than one. You can just name this, I'm just going to name this Demo Thumb. I just put thumb in all my thumbnail video images. And then just go click export, and then that should be nearly instant. And I'll only export the one that you selected here. Now I'm going to go back to Canva. I'm going to hit upload, upload files. And then I'm going to hopefully find, yep. So you're going to go to, I think mine is captures. Yeah, captures. And then click demo thumb, and that will bring this into here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in, right click it, and click set image as background. And now you should have this. If you want, you can add a little more decoration and theming around your coaster. I don't really do that with mine. I design the coasters, I don't decorate them. Anyways, you're going to left click, and you're going to click edit. Now, you may encounter some performance issues when editing videos, depending on how beefy your computer is. But what I do is I'll just throw a little blur on mine. Generally, for blur, I like to set it to, I'm going to click whole image. I'll usually set it to around in between 30 and 40. Okay, so you can see now it's a little blurred. You can just click X and then see now this is blurred. And now you can go to text. See now I'm at pool party. Now you can kind of resize this and add colors however much you want. So I'm just gonna right now demo, and then you can write coaster down here. Again, feel free to use whatever kind of font you want. This is just the one I usually use for my videos. Again, Canva is completely free, but I am on my school account, so I do have Canva Premium. So now what you can kind of do is just drag these around. You can ungroup them and make them separate. Generally, I like to find space without much going on. So here on this thumbnail, it would be somewhere over here. So I could put demo up here, kind of make sure it's out of the way, it's not blocking anything. And then kind of resize this, put it down here. Make sure they're similar size, they don't have to be exactly the same. See, this isn't really noticeable, but if there's something wildly different, like, I don't know, if this was like 64, you can see that's a lot more noticeable. But as long as they're close enough in size, people shouldn't really notice. So anyways, you see this now. You got your demo coaster, just kind of put the text somewhere where it isn't blocking any parts of your thumbnail. You can see here, you can kind of just, you can change the color however you want. And then you're going to click share, and then you're just going to click download. And then that should go to your downloads folder, which will be right in there. And then you can use it once you upload it to YouTube. So then you'd go create, upload video. You go to select files. You'd click demo, finish POV. And then your final thumbnail, if I go in here, I click demo, finish POV. And then you click thumbnail, you'd upload file, and then your thumbnail would be saved in downloads. I would add this to my coaster videos playlist, but I'm not actually going to upload this. I'm going to delete it pretty much as soon as it's uploaded. I click, no, it's not made for kids. Just kind of skip through this part. And then I would put it as public, because if I wanted people to actually see this video, but since this is just a demo, I'll put it as private. And then I'd click save. If you wanted to make a description for your video, what you do is literally just this. Go back into CapCut, go here, stats, Control C, go back here, Control V, click on forces, Control C, go over here, enter, Control V, and then bam, there's your description. So yeah, that's pretty much how you would edit and make one of these videos. So yeah, be sure to like and subscribe if you found this tutorial helpful, and be sure link in the comments any videos that you made using this tutorial that you want me to see. Anyways, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.